Good morning, everyone. It's a bit of a grey, cold morning in Yorkshire here today, so I've got a cup of tea to warm me up. I've been out pretty early this morning because I had an early hairdresser's appointment. I was so excited to get my hair done. It has been over 3 years since I last got my hair done, and I've kept meaning to go, and I finally went, and I've just got my hair tidied up. I'm so happy with it. It got really long, and the end bits were getting really thin and just not healthy looking. So I've chopped a bit off the hair, and I'm just so happy with it because it's looking so much more healthy now. So I'm really pleased. I went to the same hairdresser that I sent my mum to at the end of November, and actually she's got a hairdresser's appointment a bit later today. Sadly, we couldn't get them next to each other, our appointments, because I think it was the first day that the salon was open after Christmas, so they were really busy. But she's going a bit later today, so she's really looking forward to that as well. There's just something about getting your hair done that really makes you feel like a new woman, I find anyway, and it's just been so long since I went to the hairdresser, so I'm very excited this morning over that. But I wanted to have a chat with you today about some of the books that I'm planning to read in January. I thought I could organise my January book selection with you all. But before I do that, I had some post arrive when I got back from the hairdressers, and I thought I would open it with you because two of the things I'm very excited about, because I used some of my Christmas money. Thank you very much to my dad, who's always great about sending some Christmas money, which is always lovely because then I get to choose my own gifts. And I saved that to do a bit of shopping in the post-Christmas sales, and I picked up a couple of things from Toast. So I'm just going to open them up and have a look. So I ordered 2 jumpers. Here's the first one. Oh, I love the colour. That's such a nice like chocolate brown with the sort of Fair Isle neck on it. That's really lovely. I think I've just so been wanting some more jumpers because it does get very cold here. So I'm really thrilled to have got this one. I love the Toast sales. I always shop in their sales because they tend to mark down a fair bit. There are a few things that I'm still looking at that I hope might get marked down some more, fingers crossed. Normally their sales do end up being really good, but this one I think is already gone. I grabbed this really quickly as soon as it went on sale because I just loved it, and I think this one might have already gone, but if it hasn't then I'll link it in the description box. But I'm so thrilled with that. I'll have to try it on in a minute. And then I ordered one other jumper. Here we go. Yes, so pleased. I love the colours in this one too. This is a bit of a boxier sweater, but I love the Fair Isle print again that goes all the way down in this one. That's so nice. And I think these are made with real sort of Scottish wool, you know, is it called Jameson wool? I think they're made with that, which is really lovely. I'm going to try them on to see how they fit. I hope they look good. Okay, so here's this one. Oh, I really like it. I really like the colours and the pattern. That's so pretty. Step back so you can see a bit. Don't know if you can see my little fluffy booties. I got these in the sale too, actually, from Sea Salt, and they are so cozy. I'll take one off so you can see. I really recommend these. If there are any left in the sale, I would definitely recommend getting them. Mum and I both got a pair and they're so cozy and lovely, so I'm really happy. But I love this jumper. I think that's very nice. You can wear it with lots of different dresses and also with trousers and a blouse underneath. I like the colours, I think that's pretty. I've just got my old Laura Ashley dress that is several years old now, I think. I've just got that on today. And this is a sea salt cardigan that I'm wearing with it that I told you about in the autumn when I got this. So handy, I've really been loving this. But some more jumpers are definitely always useful. So I'm going to try this one on now. I love the colour on this, that's so nice. Oh yeah, that is such a nice colour. Got to pull my sleeves down a bit on the inside. Oh, I feel like the actress in The Killing. Have you seen that Scandi noir drama? I loved that. I mean, it was on quite a few years ago now, but I so enjoyed it. And she has this like chocolate brown, very kind of Scandi looking jumper in it. So I feel I've got a bit of Scandi noir vibe going on with this, but I love it. I think that's so nice. Yeah, such a nice jumper. I feel so cozy in this already, and I really like the neck design. That's really nice. Oh, I'm so happy. It's always a bit nerve-wracking when you just buy online without kind of seeing the clothing or trying it on first, so I'm always extra pleased when they arrive and they're nice. So I'm really delighted with that. Like I said, I'm not sure if this one is still available. If it is, I'll link to it. The last time I looked, this one was still in the sale, so I'll link to that. But yeah, I always keep my eye out for the toast sales, and normally they go to a pretty good discount, so I'm hoping a bit later in the winter there'll be even more off, and I'll have another look then, because I do have my eye on one or two other pieces if they get marked down more, so fingers crossed they might still be there. I'm absolutely delighted with these jumpers. I can really tell that they're real wool. They feel so warm, nice and cozy already, so I'm thrilled with that. And then I had one other thing to unbox, because you may remember that I subscribe to Brooke Marie Stationery. Brooke Marie is a Yorkshire-based artist, and she has this stationery club, and it's my favourite one that I've tried. I've tried hers, and I've tried, I think it's called Wildflower Illustration, but the one I recommended in my favourite things, and the one that still is my favourite, is Brooke Marie. And so I've kept with her subscription for quite a few months now, and I'm excited to get January's. So, oh, and that you get a nice box with it this time. We got a box as well in the December one, but I thought that was just a special for December, so maybe she's sending a box each month now, or maybe it's just another special for the start of the year. That looks so nice. I'm always so excited when a little stationery bundle comes, and I'm very happy to have another box actually, because they're great for storing all of it. So yes, it says, welcome to the January edition of the monthly illustration club. It's really sweet, and she always writes a little letter as well, which is lovely. And let me open up to see what the cards are. So it's exciting to see what the designs of the month are going to be, and it's nice to have some seasonal cards for each month when they're a bit of a surprise too. They're not just ones I've picked out. So let's have a look. Oh, that's very pretty. Look, those sea hues. Very nice. Love that sort of wintry sea scene, that's lovely. And a postcard, obviously we're having a bit of a seaside sort of theme here, or ocean theme. And oh, some little stickers. Oh, I love those. I love getting the stickers. I hope you can see those. The snowdrops, isn't that sweet? I love that. And that looks like a little wren. That's really lovely. And then more of the nautical theme as well, which is nice. So, oh yeah, a little wren bookmark. That's so cute. I love that. I love getting little bookmarks, obviously, for obvious reasons. And then there's a little anchor card. That's nice. And the wren again, a little wren postcard. Oh, and it's got a note to say on the back with the wren too. That's so sweet. Mum and I made jars of marmalade earlier. I said in my last video that we'd been making marmalade and we were trialling this new Slightly Cheats recipe to see if it was good, and we've been taste testing the marmalade with our toast this morning and it's really good, fortunately. But we made quite a few jars and we're going to make more because I want to film us making it for a vlog sometime later in January. But we've got a lot of jars already, so we're going to give some to the neighbours, and I'll maybe use some of these cards to write a little note with the marmalade, which will be fun. I love this one. Look at the snowdrop one. It has best wishes on the front. That's really nice. It's really nice, thick, sort of good quality paper too. I'm so excited to see my first snowdrop. I keep looking out for them. I haven't seen any yet. It is a bit early, but I am excited. More in the nautical theme here. That's quite good. And a little wren card, which is so nice. And then the envelopes. So what a lovely set. That's really nice. And yeah, I love having just different little cards like that I feel I can also give to people very freely. It's nice to just have a set each month. So I'll link to the Stationery Club in the description box, as always, if you want to check out her cards. Obviously you can buy cards individually as well as the Stationery subscription, so I'll link to that as well. But I've been using it for quite a few months, I think maybe since June or even May. And really enjoy it. So yes, I thought I would open my January one with you. But I'm just going to have a sip of tea, and I'm actually going to get my books together now that I think I will try to read in January. I think I'm being too ambitious again. I've got quite a few that I sorted out the other day, and I kept picking out more and more that I thought, oh, that would be fun to read this month. So there's quite a lot, so I probably will have to narrow it down a bit. But I thought I could give you some inspiration as well, and you can always tell me which ones you like the sound of the most to read in January. So let me go get that pile of books and I'll tell you all about them. Okay, so I've got my pile of books by me now, and the first one I wanted to tell you about is The Wolves of Willoughby Chase by Joan Aiken. This is the perfect January read. It's just the sort of book to curl up with by a roaring fire with a hot chocolate to hand and be glad that you're very safe and warm indoors and not outside, where if you were living in this novel, you would be most likely chased by wolves. It's such a good children's book. It's a real classic, and it's definitely one that adults would enjoy as well. I've loved this since my childhood, but it's been a little while since I reread it. So I picked it up just yesterday evening, and I've almost finished it. It's a really fast read, and I'm hoping to finish it this evening. But it's just so good. It's so spine chilling. It's quite sinister, but there's so much snow, there's wolves, there's skating, ice, frost, all of it. And it's just such a good page-turning story. It's about two young cousins who are left by parents in charge of a very sinister governess who soon sort of takes possession of the whole home and banishes the two girls off to a very dreary type of school. And it's just a real page turner, definitely a great one to pick up in January if you're in the mood for something snowy, slightly sinister, but a very satisfying read as well. And then I also was having a look at these two books. They were ones that I got secondhand a little while ago, and they both start either just before January or in January. So this one is And Then Came Spring by Anne Heppel, and I think it begins just in that in-between time between Christmas and New Year's, and then it goes through until the spring. It says, in the slush and fog of January, Elspeth runs away from a Midland town and the aunts to the funny little cottage called the Hopper's House, which a friend had offered to her. Small, prim but unusual, Elspeth arrives late at night and in a snowfall at the lonely house on the moors, and there experiences the surprise of her life. From one dilemma she gets into another. Mice and men, old ladies and golden pheasants all combine to get Elspeth into difficulties, from each of which she emerges as unscathed and as like a sedate pixie as ever. I wish I could be like a sedate pixie. when I'm in a scrape, I'll have to remember that. Aim to be the sedate pixie in your life. Spring marches on to May, and the story ends with a typical scene between Luke, Elspeth, and a mouse who nearly puts his foot in it in the moonlight under a willow. Sounds slightly peculiar, but I've read one book by Anne Heppel which I quite enjoyed, and she's just someone I generally look out for reasonable copies of her books, because some of them are quite hard to find or quite expensive to find with dust wrappers. So I picked this one up cheaply, and it sounds like it could be quite a good January read. It obviously starts in the cold and slush of January, as it says, and then kind of goes on to spring. So it sounds like it could be quite a good one. So I'll see if I get to this one this month. And then I also picked up this children's book secondhand because I thought it sounded interesting. I think it sounds like it's a time slip book, and I'm always really interested in time slip stories, especially children's ones. They're often so good. This is called The Martlet Box by Jean Ross, and it says, the boys shivered. It was a frosty evening, a few days into January. Shadows in the narrow street seemed to nod in the fading light. Simon and Malcolm, cousins on holiday in Edinburgh, find themselves drawn into a mystery of such magnitude that at first they are sceptical. But events such as the meeting with the beautiful and ageless Mrs. Clark and their first experience of travelling back in time overtake them with a force that soon dispels their doubts. That actually sounds like it could be really good. I love that it's set in Edinburgh. That ticks all the boxes for January too, because with Burns Night coming up, I do like to do a bit of Scottish reading in January as well, which reminds me I should maybe add some D.E. Stevenson to my to-be-read pile too. That's always so tempting. But so that ticks the sort of Scottish box, it ticks the January box, it's set in January, and it sounds like it's got some mystery and intrigue going on as well. So I think I will try and definitely read this one. It's very slim, so hopefully I'll be able to get through that very quickly, and I'm curious about it as well. And then another novel that I'd like to read, this is one to sort of curl up with over quite a few evenings and just get really immersed in, and I always like that kind of long saga-esque type book in the winter. This is called Wintercombe by Pamela Bell. My mum has been raving about this book to me for ages. She read it probably a few years ago now and really enjoyed it. And I keep meaning to read it, but I haven't got to it yet, but I really do want to, because when my mum really praises something, obviously I want to try it. This is a historical novel. It says civil war has raged across the country for 2 years. Silence, Lady St. Barb, young Puritan bred, has been left in charge of Wintercombe, her husband's beautiful house near Bath in Somerset. Another literary location that I love. While he is away with his eldest son fighting for Parliament. Mistress of a large country household, mother to the 5 remaining children, Silence finds her quiet, sheltered world erupting in danger and terror with the arrival of enemy soldiers. That sounds exciting, doesn't it? This sounds like a really good sort of gripping read that is super for cold, long winter evenings. So I'm hoping I definitely want to get to this one this month as well. And then I'd like to read this book this month for the Japan in January challenge, and that's She and Her Cat by Makoto Shinkai and Naruki Nagakawa. And this one sounds very sweet and charming. It's about cats and their owners who live in the sort of outskirts of Tokyo. And I think these different stories of different cats and people are all told through the perspective of the cats. And it's about how they try and look after their owners. And it sounds like it's really very sweet. So I'm looking forward to this one. And this is quite a slim read too, so I'm hoping I'll be able to read this one quite quickly, so I'm looking forward to that. And then of course I'll be reading 450 from Paddington this month too, because this is my pick for the Comfort Book Club. I'm really looking forward to discussing Agatha Christie together. I love Miss Marple, so I wanted to choose a Miss Marple mystery, and I think this is such a good one. So I'm looking forward to rereading this for about the millionth time for the discussion at the end of the month. And then I really do want to read The Willows in Winter. I read The Willows at Christmas over Christmas, and I want to read this other sequel to The Wind in the Willows. So this is by William Hallward, and he wrote, he wrote this one, Toe Triumphant. I think he wrote 4 sequels to Kenneth Graham's The Wind in the Willows. And I had this when I was little, and I totally had forgotten about these books. But when a viewer of my channel reminded me of them a few months ago, and then I got them all. So I told you about The Willows at Christmas, and The Willows in Winter is the next one to read sort of chronologically. Obviously this is the perfect time of year to read it. So I definitely want to get to this one this month as well. There are always so many I definitely want to get to, so I'm going to have to really do some serious reading this month. And then some non-fiction books. So this is one that I've been loving already. This is Another Year of Wonder, Classical Music for Every Day by Clemency Burton Hill. And this is the 2nd volume. I have the first book, A Year of Wonder, which had a classical music piece for every day of the year, and I really loved that book, and I was thrilled to get the 2nd one as well. And one of my sort of New Year resolutions is with part of my morning routine, I want to listen each day to the classical morning piece. So I've been doing that so far and really enjoying them. My sort of routine first thing in the morning is I get up, I go down, make a cup of tea for me and my mum, and I bring it up and we both have tea in bed, and I come into my room, I sit and have my tea, and I have like a quiet moment, and I'll either read some poetry or maybe look at an art book. But what I've added in this year is I want to also use that time when I'm just having my first cup of tea in bed is to listen to the classical music piece that's suggested for each day. And Clemency does a great job at writing quite a lot about each piece of music, and it's very, very interesting what she says always. So I'm really enjoying this. I've been doing this every morning so far in January and just loving it. I really like having that sort of moment of peace, because the next part of my morning routine is I get up and I exercise, and then I shower, get dressed, and I'm, ready for all the work of that day. So the morning from then on gets quite manic. So it's really lovely to have just that first cup of tea in the very early morning, listening to a beautiful piece of music. So I'm loving using this book. Obviously, this isn't just for January, it will be all through the year, but it's a resolution that I'm starting in January and hope to continue to use this book every day. And then some non-fiction reads I'd like to get to in January. Two are books by Oliver Burkeman, and I came across his work when Ursula Jenkins, who is the woman behind Starsmead Bookbinding, you may remember I've talked about my Commonplace book that was beautifully made by Ursula of Starsmead Bookbinding. I've been filling it in already, and one of the entries that I have in here is a quotation of Oliver Burkeman. It's an article he wrote in The Guardian, and it's about him keeping a commonplace book. It says, "Yet the reason I've started keeping a real pen and paper commonplace book is that the social power of the web, awesome though it is, doesn't confer the same benefits. There's something important about exploring ideas privately as well as collectively. Indeed, there's something about promiscuous online bookmarking and highlighting that seems antithetical to commonplacing. Because the real challenge of handling stray nuggets of information isn't how to collect and organize them. Commonplacing is about internalizing that information, engaging deeply, processing it so that it becomes part of you. Writing by hand seems to help, so does not instantly sharing everything. If the web is a wild, furiously creative ecosystem, a rainforest say, the commonplace book is a private vegetable patch. Different things grow best in each." I love that idea of thinking of your commonplace book as being like your private vegetable patch. I love that whole quotation. And Ursula Jenkins sent me that quotation in a lovely email that she wrote me after I'd featured Starsmead Bookbinding on one of my favorite things videos, because obviously a lot of you went and checked out all of the notebooks, and she sent me this really, really lovely email to say thank you for featuring her beautiful notebooks, which was of course a pleasure. But I loved that quotation that she included in her email, and it made me look up more about Oliver Burkeman, and I subscribed to his email list. I'll link to that in the description box. He sends out an email, I think a couple of times a month. It's not that frequent, but it's always full of really interesting ideas. And he does some BBC radio programs as well, but he generally talks quite a lot about time management and happiness and literature and all sorts of things. And I saw that he'd written some books, and I ordered a couple of them. This one is called 4,000 Weeks Time Management for Mortals, and this one is called Help: How to Become Slightly Happier and Get a Bit More Done. And these sound really, really good. 4,000 Weeks especially seems to have had very, very good reviews. And it says, "What if you stopped trying to do everything? We're obsessed with lengthening to-do lists, our overfilled inboxes, and the sense that our attention spans are shriveling. But to find peace of mind, we must confront the ultimate time management problem. The question of how best to use our ridiculously brief time on the planet, which amounts on average to about 4,000 weeks. And it's about apparently embracing rather than denying our limitations, and in doing so, unlocking a more meaningful life. So obviously in January, self-help books, time management books, productivity books, all of that kind of thing is really huge at this time of year. And I think we all, well, so many of us would love to be a bit more productive or manage our time better. And I thought this sounded like a very interesting, very human, very realistic approach to that common need that so many of us have. So I really wanted to read this one this month. Like I said, I've read some of his essays in the newsletters that he sends out, and I'm really impressed by his style of writing. So I've got that one, and I also thought Help sounded really good too. Those are all of the books that are tempting me this month. Let me know which books particularly sort of caught your eye, which you'd be most interested in hearing about or in reading yourselves, and let me know what you're reading this January too. I'd love to know. Last January I did a whole video recommending books for January, so I'll link to that too if you'd like to check that out. But now I'm going to go down and make some lunch. I think Mum has left for her hair appointment, so I'm going to make us lunch so that's ready for when she gets back. I'm trying out a new recipe today, which I'll tell you about. Okay, so I've come down to the kitchen and I've got things set up to make lunch. And in the spirit of January and wanting to eat a bit healthier after all of the indulgence of Christmas, I'm making a real winter salad today. I love winter salads actually. I really like nice green vegetables. I love all the sort of bitter leaves that you get this time of year. So this salad is just the sort of thing that I enjoy. And it's by Deborah Robertson, who wrote this fantastic book called Notes from a Small Kitchen Island. And she's a British food writer, but she lives in France. So a lot of the recipes are French inspired, which I like. But this one is actually coming from her newsletter. I subscribe to her free Substack, and I'll link to it in the description box because I really recommend it. She obviously has paid options too if you want more recipes from her, but I get the free one, and this is a recipe that she gave, I think just before Christmas actually, and I sort of bookmarked it because I thought how great it would be for January. So I've got it on my phone here, and it's a Brussels sprout, cranberry and pecan salad. I'm actually using walnuts instead of pecans. But it sounds really nice. So I'm going to get this ready so that hopefully by the time Mum comes back, looking glamorous from the hairdresser, lunch will be ready. Oh, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but this is our tray of marmalades. Don't they look amazing? I love how they sort of glow in the light. So we've got one other jar as well, which is the one that we were testing earlier. It's very yummy, but as you can see, we've got a lot of jars, so I think we're gonna give some, like I said, to the neighbours. So I want to actually label those up later. But let's get on with making lunch. So Mum's back from the hairdresser, looking
Yes,
lovely.
thank you. Looking
lovely.
yes,
Lovely.
thank you. You do yourself.
Thank you. We're having a bit of a late lunch now.
We are, but never mind.
Looking forward to it.
Yes.
Do you want to help yourself?
That looks absolutely delicious.
I hope so. It does look nice.
It does. Delicious.
I added a few fresh cranberries as well as dried ones.
What a good idea. That's always nice.
We had a few, so
yeah, we do. Whoops.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you.
Looks lovely. Toasted walnuts.
Yes.
A bit more.
Yeah.
I'm starving, I must admit.
Well, there is plenty there.
That's good.
But we can always have some leftover with supper as well.
Yeah.
It's nice.
That's very nice. Well, it's always good, something like that, and it keeps well in the fridge too. So.
Yes, so we can use it whenever we want.
Yeah.
But I was saying how much I like winter salads.
I really do too. It's something that you don't always think about. At least I didn't when I, was young. But now I actually really love them. I like the bitter. I think they almost taste like they're a bit of a tonic for you.
Yes,
just to bring you.
That's the thing with January. It's always a bit of a month of contrast.
It is, isn't it? All that excess at Christmas, which we certainly enjoyed.
Yes, and then you're always in the mood for something sort of lighter and fresher in January. But you still want comfort food a bit as well. Like I think we're going to have a real mix of very healthy options, but also some nice kind of comfort meals too, aren't we?
I'm spoiled, as you can tell.
Oh, bon appetit!
Yes.
That is really
I love that.
fresh, really nice. I love the flavours.
Is that goat's cheese?
That's really good. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like Brussels sprouts, but we actually do. And having them raw, just shaved like this, very finely cut, it's lovely.
Wow, and they're such a bargain right now.
They are, aren't they? I know, they're all sort of on sale after Christmas, aren't they?
Exactly, you've got backloads of them. So you can have them every which way. But I love it. I love cranberries.
Me too.
And then the mix, actually, of having fresh it's dried, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice. And the dressing is nice.
Great recipe.
Wow. Thank you to Deborah, I think her name is.
It is, Deborah.
Deborah, yeah. Yeah, very, very nice. Good morning, everyone. So it's the next morning and I'm going to finish up this vlog, but I wanted to pop on to say that I finished The Wolves of Willoughby Chase last night and I so enjoyed it. I'm so glad I decided to reread this one in January because it's honestly the perfect cold weather read. There's so much snow and ice. There are blizzards and ice skating scenes, as well, of course, as howling wolves. And even though the novel goes into spring and there's warmer weather by the end of it, the majority is set right in the depths of winter. And it's just such a good one to read this time of year. There's a bit of a Dickensian feel almost to the story as well, because there are these larger than life villains who are defeated happily in the end. And I really recommend reading it. If you never have done, then this is the perfect month to pick it up. But also, before I end this video, I just wanted to say a really big thank you for all of the lovely comments that are coming on the video that I published yesterday evening, on Thursday evening. It's been so encouraging to read your lovely messages. I'm really excited to hopefully bring you more content in 2023, and I'm thrilled that you're excited about it too. So thank you. Your messages really mean so much, and I'm really delighted that you're happy with more content hopefully coming this year as well. And thank you so much for watching this video. Do give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I hope you're all having a wonderful start to the year and a wonderful weekend. Extra big thanks to those of you who pressed the super thanks button on my last video. I always so appreciate your support, but thank you, as I said, for all of your lovely comments and supportive messages, and I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.